Hey guys, welcome back. Hope you had a good day in the markets. March 17th, Tuesday. We're going to review 0-day options on the SPY and the small account challenge. Let's see, we gapped up today. We have FOMC tomorrow. The market's kind of chilling between everything, waiting for that. Here's Eric's chart. He's SPY day trade on YouTube. This is 30-minute chart. We've got 5-day below us today, 20 days above us. Kind of in the middle of nowhere for now. Stuck. Waiting for that data tomorrow at 2. So 200 days, pretty close. Yeah. So today's price action was a bit grindy, a bit like yesterday, I guess. Kind of a tighter range. IV was a little bit lower. Low to high. Let's see, 674, 669. So yeah, like 5 points. So about the same ranges that we had yesterday. No data really this morning that I saw. So, free to trade. I start off with charting this purple for the buying, aggressive buying. And next was looking for the bullish controlled selling, which I think orange was the first one I put in for that. And based on this resistance, support, and here as well. And then saw this tapering gray, which I put in right here. It did break out of that, but failed to continue. So at this point, I was considering call credit spread again, like I did yesterday. Just seeing that it's tapering and should retrace potentially. But I was like, it's still pretty early, and yeah, I just decided to wait for it to break the gray. So I could have gotten it sooner. You know, in hindsight, of course, it's like, oh, I could have gotten it here, but you don't really know. When it did bounce on gray here, then you just have this little wedge you're waiting for. Potentially could have gotten it here, like a put or whatever, call credit spread, but you don't know if it's going to break that or not to the upside, because if it broke that, I'd be wanting to get calls potentially. The range is still, it's pretty tight, but yeah. And 30-minute wasn't giving me any clues for anything, so yeah, waiting for gray to break there. Let's see what we got. So yesterday, in my mind, was a red day, but with both accounts it was green. But yeah, I was down like 40 bucks yesterday on the small account. At 9:58 was my first trade. IV was in the 20s, mid to high 20s, I think, in the morning, close to the money. So I bought. See, I got a put at 9.58, a limit order for 98 cents, and then another one at 9.58, limit order for 97 cents. So let's see, where's 9.58? Right here. Gray broke. My selling, this was the first I had charted of the selling, precision selling or aggressive selling. Right here with this resistances, and this is kind of a weak selling to me. It's not very steep, so what happens then is it's just harder to manage, because if you get a big candle, you have a lot of kind of consolidation and rippage it can do before it hits that resistance. So makes it a little tricky to hold. Maybe there was steeper selling. I did chart another one later, but anyways, broke there. Got one, got another one. I was actually going to get another one or two if it came up to gold. I thought it might come up and retest gold. I was going to get a couple more there, and then gold would have been my stop. And I maybe would have gone long. Maybe not, though. Not sure. Because this is such a small move to the downside as far as a retrace. So the upside would have been pretty small, most likely. But yeah, 1, 2, buckle my shoe right in there. And I don't think I had this gold yet. This darker gold, bronze. Let's call that bronze. Gold, bronze. So I didn't have a whole lot of price kind of targets. Of course, low of day is a nice one. I'm completing that inverse cup. I thought potentially if you extend this orange, I kind of deleted it. If you extend that, I thought potentially this could be a take profit. Of course, VWAP is another one. But since this is a retracement or a zombie trade, a mutual interest trade, you don't know where it necessarily will stop. It doesn't have to stop on some resistance, prior resistance. So with all that, range is pretty small, but wasn't bad. Got this nice candle, and let's see where I start taking profit. So I did chart the bottom of this red also, which kind of helps for exits. If it hits it, you can kind of take exits, take profits on those. It's sometimes hard to see where the bottom is. You know what I mean? But in this case, it was working out. So 98 cents, 97 cents, first two fills. Sold the first one for $1.14, so a green trade at 10:03. It was on this candle. It was pretty early on this candle though. Yeah, maybe even had the gray sooner. No, so this was for potential. Well, it hadn't hit VWAP when I sold it. I sold it about here, so a small range, but it was probably half a point from where I entered. 673.79, 673.12. Yeah, so half a point. So with scale, that's really all you need that for profits on day trading, which Eric has shown us many times. 10 grand a day with half a point to a point moves. Just has to do a scale. So being content to accept that, even if the market goes down 20 points from here or whatever. Because this you can consistently find every single day, actually. And if you can, I mean, there's days you might not see it until after in hindsight, but there's always spreads and other ways to day trade if this kind of action doesn't happen. But you can usually bet on a half a point move now. With the SPY being as high as it is, you can usually find a half point move. Pretty straightforward. It's extremely difficult. I'm not saying it's easy, but I'm saying you don't have to have big moves to be very successful at this as an individual. So sold that one, and then I was not greedy, but of course I'm not really sure if it's going to go to low today or where it's going, so I'm kind of wanting to hold until it breaks this red, so just to give it more room to drop. So when it breaks that, I get out. So this exit was not as nice, not as favorable, but it's okay. I only had 2 contracts, and that's the way it goes. That one I sold for $1.05, so pretty small. Let's see, is it 10:05? Yeah, I was on this candle. Pretty small green one on that one, but it's fine. Since I only had 2, maybe I probably should have taken the second one here at VWAP also. Again, I did not have this bronze channel at that point, which eventually was finding support on that. VWAP is a nice exit. If I hadn't exited early on this candle, then yeah, maybe it would have made sense to hold till that one. But since this one was early, and then it came down and hit VWAP, I should have probably closed the second one there. That happens to me. Like, it'll get close to my target, and I close one, and then it hits my target, so I close another one, which I'm fine with. But yeah, this target's kind of arbitrary, just VWAP. So, anyways, at this point, once it breaks the red, I'm thinking it could come all the way back up to gold potentially, maybe retest gray, and so I don't want to be a part of that. So I got out, and I'm fine with that. Nice little green trade to start her off. And next, oh, I did. Let's see, I did try and sell it actually. Oh, 10:04, I tried to sell it. So right here, I put a limit order to sell, which I don't always do, but yeah, I put it for $1.17. Didn't fill. This one came in and it didn't fill, so then I ended up market ordering. So I would have gotten another $10 on that one if that limit order filled. So I was kind of trying to get out actually, even before it broke that. Next one, that was first trade. Next one was at 10:11. So at this point, I have gray, this gray right here. I kind of put it up here once this started finding support, build liquidity, but it was so close to the wick there. I'm like, I'm gonna put it down here to be safe. It builds a little liquidity on that gray, then starts selling off, and then boom, it breaks it again. I'm like, well, this could be just a continuation from what we were having back here, and could still want that low of day potentially. More of a retrace. I've got red here to manage my risks. The problem is, after this candle, I'm pretty far from red, but I sent it anyways. But I only got 1 on this one, but I got another put. So got a put. This was a limit order again. $1.18. I'm getting pretty close to money, like 35 delta maybe. It's a 672 put. So yeah, close to low of day. Pretty much trying to get where my target is. Yeah, $1.18. Pick that one up for. This one I wasn't super confident with, since we are kind of in the middle. But we are breaking that gray, that final gray, that tapering gray. So I'm like, yeah, it makes sense to get this. The only reason I was already in it was because this was basically a retracement trade from breaking it up here. So this is the major one. But yeah, actually with that thought, I should have been more confident to hold for maybe longer. I don't know. Let's look at this one. I bought it for $1.18, 10.11. Didn't have, I actually didn't even put a limit order to buy anymore. So yeah, that was all I wanted. I was fine with that. Nice big red candle here, but then the problem is we're getting pretty far away from that, and that's when I then charted this. I was trying to chart something cheaper to, or not cheaper, steeper, to help manage my trade. I put this gray one in here, and then of course it pretty much immediately broke it. I'm like, okay, what did I do? I think I closed on that one. Yeah, so I actually closed on this one right here. All right, yeah, I wanted to hold it, but I just didn't have the charting there to really give me confidence, because this red was a little further up than I wanted to hold for. I didn't know if we're going to make a low of day, and if we did, this is just a wick down here, so theoretically, I mean, not theoretically, but we're pretty close to low of day here, and so I thought potentially this is all it's going to give us before it wants to build some more. So did miss the bigger chunk of this move, actually. About like half of it. If I'd held through that, yeah, I probably would have used red for my stop, but instead of waiting for that, I probably actually would have closed on this candle, realistically. Breaking through that low of day, and that was a volatile candle, I most likely would have closed on that one. So could have gotten a much nicer exit, but again, the fact that this sold off so quickly and gave it big enough gap to red for me not to be too comfortable to hold it, is why I kind of was like, I'll step back. So closed it there. It was a nice green trade though. So it was $1.18, and it was a market order for $1.29. So it wasn't actually that big. Pretty small trades, but that's fine. Green is green. Without hindsight, yeah, I guess. Yeah, I mean, it could have ripped all the way back up here to basically my... Because I wasn't sure. I was like, maybe... I didn't maybe look close enough at this either. I thought this was closer to low of day. I know there's that wick down there, so that's kind of the thing. Anyways, yep, that was another green trade, so 2 for 2. Happy about that. And then... where are we at? I bought a call at... So, complete the inverse cup. And so I'm like... Just like the other day, was it yesterday? I was like, okay, ready for this handle, all jonesing, ready for a handle. And then it comes up, and gold is my bullish controlled selling, my least aggressive one that I had at that time. And I'm like, all right, it comes up here, I'm gonna get a put, and this will be my stop. And then it breaks it. I'm like, oh crap, I have to get a call now. I'm like, that's fine, I'll do it. I think that's what I was thinking, yes. 10:35, I got a call. It was a market, 82 cents. So on this candle, and then it starts to retest this gold, which I'm like, that's fine. That's to be expected. I wasn't buying up in purple, which I didn't like, but it was fine. It started retesting that. I put gray in there. I was like, all right, well, maybe it's at least buying up in the gray. I'll use that for my stops. And then so it broke through that at 37. So that's where I closed it, I think. 35. Yeah, 35 to 37. 82 cents to 79 cents. So tight little loss. Not a big deal. I kind of, even maybe before I closed that, I think I started looking and charted this bronze. I'm like, what the heck's going on? There's got to be a flatter one going. And I did. I saw the supports here. Resistance, resistance, resistance. And then also, of course, resistance up here. Looked like it. I don't know if it lined up on the bottom per se, but since this was a wick, I was like, this could be what's doing down there too. So this though looked pretty convincing to me as a bullish controlled selling. Potentially that was in. But regardless, it's not out of the wedge, and so this doesn't have room to run. And so got out of it there, and then it came down, bounced off of white. So back in the wedge, but I had gold at that point, so I didn't have a whole lot of inkling to go long until potentially breaking bronze. That being said, this could have been a nice actually retracement or zombie trade right here off of white. And I kind of was bummed at myself. I was like, it was in the wedge, and then it broke it right here. Why didn't I get it here? Or I could have gotten it here, of course, with gray being my stop. But then once it did this, I was like, okay, that's why. Because we are still in a wedge, so don't overtrade the wedge. 1035, 1037, small loss. and then. So then it's grinding down in bronze. Did I stick around? I think I maybe left. Where are we at? Okay, then I charted this baby blue one right here. Based on these supports, these resistances. Yeah, well, I wasn't too sure on it though, because this is all I had. It was probably showing up some in here. Maybe in here too, actually. You see, like here? Yeah, I think I even did this. I just didn't leave one up there. You can kind of see it. Maybe showing up in there some. So, wasn't too sure on it, but I did chart it because I thought there's probably a less aggressive bearish controlled buying. Sure enough, but regardless of that, or yeah, that might, yeah, I think it was because it retested here. I think this was legit, but maybe not. Regardless of that, I still had this gray, and it had worked earlier. It bounced here, so I was like, okay, this is probably a good entry. But I wasn't sure at this point because I did chart this, so this is one of the cases where charting maybe could have gotten me in trouble, where I basically didn't take a trade because I overcharting or whatever. So if we just act like this isn't here, it's like, okay, that's simple. It's breaking your white. It's been building liquidity on it. This is the handle, but I had charted that, and so I was like, this is basically my move if I'm managing the risk with the red. So you get what I'm saying here. 1104, I got one put for 92 cents limit. 1104, I got another put, 91 cents. So these were actually pretty good fills. This candle came and I placed a limit order and it didn't fill, I believe. Yep. And then it came all the way down. I was like just sitting on my hands a little bit. I'm like, I don't want to market order. I'm gonna leave it for a little bit because I'll use red for my stop. And then this candle came up and it was basically right here that it filled 1 and 2. So it was more or less the best entry I could have gotten. Like, could have gotten it here on a market, would have been a little bit better, but just because I got on this candle doesn't mean it was a bad fill, pretty much. So the fill was pretty close to up here. Yeah. So wasn't as much of a chase as it looks like at all. But it would have been kind of a bummer if I didn't get filled. I barely got filled. That's why kind of the first entry, if I'm getting on a break, to just do one on a market order, and then I can start putting limit orders at the bid to try and get better prices if I want to scale in. Because this does happen sometimes, and then it does leave without me. Green leaves. It's nice to have at least one on the market. So 92 cents, 91 cents. These were 672s again. I'm using this for my stop, and or I'd like low of day, of course, or I guess the new low of day. It comes down, where we at? 1107. Okay, so I wasn't sure about this baby blue. I was thinking it might find support on this and continue to build liquidity. So wait, what's going on here? Oh, sorry. 11. Yeah, 11. What's 1102? What am I looking at? Weird. Sorry, 1104 got him. 1107. So it broke through here, and then opened a new candle down there, and I was like, okay, phew. At least this is out of my mind, at least for now. So now I'm thinking, okay, let's try and get down here a little further. I have 2 of them, and I close on this nice candle. So I don't, let's see, was it at the end? Was it? 107. I'm curious the time. 53. Yeah, so it's pretty close to the bottom of this candle. It's probably like right here. This candle did accelerate. Oh, you know what? It wasn't. It wasn't at the bottom. I was a little bummed on that close. The last few seconds of this candle really flushed. So this candle came down. It was starting to show support to me on this bronze, and that's why I was like, I maybe should get out of one of these. And then does this big green up here, and then kind of comes back down, and I close like right about here. Was it a limit? Yeah, it was a limit. I had a limit in it like right about here, and then it kind of flushed the last couple seconds of the candle. So if you watch that candle in real time, if I didn't have bronze here, it would have been easier, but I did, and so yeah, I didn't get this exit. I was actually up here, unfortunately, but still nice. 91 cents to 112 on that one. And then it came down, and I'm like, well, if I wait all the way for it to break red, potentially, you know, that could come up quite a bit. And the fact that I missed the nice fill on this one, I should maybe just take one of these better slippage fills. So actually on this candle, I got a limit sell. I got a nice fill on this one. It came down and it was hitting the bottom of my red, which is a nice place to exit. And I got a fill like down here somewhere on this candle when it was red. So basically near low of day. And yeah, that was an exit for $1.34. So that was probably my best percentage trade today, 91 cents to $1.34. And then after that, it proceeded to build liquidity and break the red. So if I waited, might have closed on that candle, might have closed on this one, and these would have been much, much worse. It started to bump up quite a bit there. And then, what did I do? I was stoked, and I took a little break, and then I was like, I should look at my, sorry about that. I should look at my P&L and just kind of see where I'm at, give me kind of a better handle on what I should do for the rest of the day, sort of, and kind of like, I don't know. Those are the trades we did. That's all. That's it. I didn't do any more trades. And that's because when I looked at my P&L at that point, I was pleased. We were at 98 bucks. So totally stoked on that, and didn't need any more than that. And I kept an eye on it. I'd look at it. I was doing other stuff, staying busy. Saw this ridiculous grind and chop and FOMC tomorrow. So I don't even know. So like if my P&L at that point was at like 40 bucks, I probably would have slowed up, but I would have probably kept a little closer eye on it, see if there's something else I could catch. But I don't even know how I would have like all of this through here. I don't even know how I would have charted it. Like what's even going on? This is the problem, because later in the day, if I'm starting to try to trade this, it's like, and I guess it's maybe because it's in a huge wedge, and so it's just makes it just chop around. I did like start to chart some, and I'm like, dude, I have no idea. Like, is this blue like showing up? Maybe. It just gets confusing when the volume gets lower and it starts grinding. Maybe that's there. Let me see if Eric, I haven't looked at Eric's chart today. Let's see if he had anything. No, I don't think he's doing too well. He's a little ill. He didn't chart. Wonder if Emperor's around. I don't know. But those guys, they end up drawing some. This is probably a supports right here, and it broke it, and then it just didn't have continuation, and this is hitting resistance on it. So potentially you could have caught this move right here. I don't know, but I'm just thankful I was up enough that I felt comfortable and not anxious to try and make more. So very grateful. Sub up, like up, comment down. Happy money sticks around. FOMC tomorrow. You could do spreads. I'm not. There's a cash account. So sometimes I'll get a trade in the morning before it opens, or before he speaks at 2, before all that comes out. And the IV's high, so can't be doing too many trades. Sometimes a trade after. We'll see. It's a sketchy day. It's a good day to chill. Thanks, guys. See you tomorrow. Peace out.